You're not a bad guy, just not a man I'd brag about. Those were the last words I ever said to my husband before he walked out of our lives, and never came back. No dramatic fight. No slam door. Just a cool. And then silence. I'm Isabella Monroe. I'm 32. And yeah, I said that. I didn't whisper it in anger. I meant it. And now? I'm haunted by it. Looking back, the signs were there. The slow decline. The little resentments that piled up like dishes in the sink after takeout. We weren't screaming at each other every night or cheating or anything like that. It was worse in a way. We were fading. And I was furious about it. Ethan, my husband of 4 years, was a good man. Kind. Reliable. He was fine. Not ambitious, not flashy. Just a guy. A guy who used to talk about starting a business, but now spent weekends playing video games in old college t-shirts. A guy who never cheated but never impressed either. Every Sunday I'd scroll through Instagram watching my friends, Lauren with her yacht getaways, Brooke in Tuscany, Savannah showing off her new beach house kitchen renovation, while I sat on our second-hand couch watching Ethan binge another docuseries. That's what hit me the hardest. The comparison. The quiet truth that I wasn't proud of where I was, or who I was with. The night before everything fell apart, I was at dinner with my girls. Lauren's husband had just surprised her with a white Range Rover. No reason. Just because. Brooke's fiancé got promoted again. They were now house hunting in that exclusive gated community up north. And me? I had nothing to offer except that Ethan had finally fixed our leaky kitchen faucet. After I'd asked for 3 months. How's Ethan doing? Lauren asked casually, swirling her wine. I shrugged. What could I say? That he'd been in the same job for years with no sign of a raise or promotion. That we were the only couple in our friend group still living in our starter home? I went home that night and found him on the couch, watching a documentary about coral reefs. Not working on that side project he always talked about. Not building anything. Just relaxing. As always, I opened our banking app. It had become a weird habit lately. Comparing our finances to what I guessed my friends' husbands earned. I even had a spreadsheet. With actual numbers. Side-by-side columns. Income. Bonuses. House values. I had a tab called Reasons to Leave. Started it 6 months ago. Quietly. Privately. Like a checklist for an escape route. That night I didn't say anything. I just added a line. Still stagnant at work. No change in title or salary in 3+ years. The next morning Ethan made breakfast. Scrambled eggs and toast. He was cheerful. He smiled like everything was fine. But I was still thinking about Savannah's marble countertops and Brooke's lake house. I couldn't unsee it anymore. We should check out that new hiking trail this weekend, he said, sliding a plate in front of me. I looked at him. The faded t-shirt. His softening body. The simplicity of it all. And I said, don't you think you should focus on that certification you were supposed to get last year? The one that might actually get you promoted. His smile faltered. I thought we agreed I'd look into it next quarter. Once things slow down. Things never slow down, Ethan, I said, scrolling to a photo of Lauren standing beside her new SUV. Stacy's husband just bought her this. And you're still waiting for things to slow down? He looked at my phone. Then back at his coffee. Good for them, he muttered. And that was it. I lost it. Do you even see it? Every single one of my friends is living the life we talked about when we got married. The life you promised me. And me? What do I have to brag about? A guy who won't even apply for a promotion. The argument escalated like a slow-burning fuse finally reaching the flame. I listed every shortcoming, every disappointment, every comparison. He sat quietly, getting smaller with every word I threw at him. Until finally I said it. You're not a bad guy, Ethan. You're just not a man I'd brag about. He stared at me for a long, agonizing second. His face didn't crumple. It just emptied. Cool, he said. Then he picked up his keys and walked out the door. I thought he'd come back. That first night I half expected a knock on the door. Maybe he'd crash at his brother's place, cool off. Realize he was overreacting. I even let myself feel a little victorious. Like finally, maybe now he'd realize he needed to step up. But Ethan didn't come home that night. Or the next. By day 3 I wasn't triumphant. I was furious. Who did he think he was? Just walking away like that? Like we were some failed college fling instead of married for 4 years? I called. Straight to voicemail. I texted. Nothing. I called his brother, who claimed he didn't know where Ethan was. Lie. Total lie. I drove to his office, ready to make a scene if I had to, only to be told he'd taken a week of personal leave. Personal leave for me? His coworker, the only one who didn't shut me down, said Ethan had mentioned needing space. To figure things out. Space from what? From the person actually trying to improve our life? When I got home, I went through our closet. That's when panic really set in. He hadn't just left for a night. He'd taken real things, work clothes, toiletries, even his passport. His passport. This wasn't a dramatic exit. This was a strategic one. I called my friend Nina, who'd introduced us years ago, expecting sympathy. Instead, there was a long pause after I explained what happened. What exactly did you say to him? She asked, her voice calm but cautious. I repeated it. Word for word. Another pause. Don't you think that was a bit harsh? I was just being honest, I said quickly. Defensive. He knows I've been frustrated with his lack of ambition. This isn't new. There's honest and then there's cruel, Isabella, she said gently. I hung up. I didn't want a lecture. I tried Lauren next. She at least brought over wine. But even she looked uncomfortable when I showed her the reasons to leave document and my upgrade Ethan checklist. I knew you guys were having problems, she said slowly, scanning the spreadsheet. But this is a lot. He knew about the upgrade list. I told her. It was supposed to help him improve. And this income comparison thing? Did he know about that? I shrugged. He knows I want more for us. She looked at me strangely. For us or for you? A week passed. No contact. Finally, his brother admitted Ethan was staying with him, but he wouldn't let me speak to him. He needs time, he said. Time for what? 2 weeks in, I got an email. Not a call. An email. Ethan said he'd come by to grab more of his stuff while I was at work. He'd leave his key. That's it. Like we were roommates at the end of a lease, not a married couple with a history. I took the day off. No way was he sneaking in and out without at least facing me. When he pulled into the driveway and saw my car, he froze. I ran outside to stop him as he turned to leave. You can't just ghost your wife, Ethan. I shouted. He looked hollow. Not angry. Not sad. Just done. I'm not ghosting you. I told you I'd come for my stuff. Without talking to me? Without even trying to fix this. He gave a cold, humorless laugh. Fix what, Isabella? The fact that I'll never be enough for you. That's not fair. I found your documents, he cut in. The spreadsheet. The list. All of it. My stomach dropped. I'd left my laptop open. That morning. Right before everything blew up. Those were private, I whispered. So was our marriage, he said sharply. But I guess sharing all my shortcomings with your friends made it public domain. Ethan, you're overreacting. No. I'm finally reacting. His voice had weight. Finality. It was the strongest I'd ever heard him speak. You weren't helping me. You were tracking me. Like I was some project you were trying to upgrade. I was trying to help you reach your potential. My potential, he said slowly. According to who? You. He shook his head. I liked my job. I was happy. The only thing that made me feel small was being with someone who thought I wasn't enough. I know you can do better. That's just it, Isabella. I don't want better. I want peace. I want someone who values the life we had. Who values me. He stepped around me. I'll come back another day. So that's it. I called after him. You're just proving me right, that you're not the man I thought you were? He paused, turned, and for a second I thought maybe he'd come back. But instead, he looked me straight in the eye and said, No, I'm finally being the man I should have been all along. One who knows his worth. Then he got in his car, and he drove away. Again. A month passed. Then 2. Ethan came back only to pack up more of his things. Always when I was at work. He filed for divorce through his lawyer. No face-to-face conversation. No closure. And just like that, we went from husband and wife to strangers with a shared mortgage and silence between us. I still hadn't signed the divorce papers. Not because I thought he'd come back, but because signing them meant I had to admit the truth. That I'd failed. That I'd let something real slip away chasing a life that looked better on Instagram. I thought my friends would be there for me. But slowly they began to pull away. No more Sunday brunch invites. No more texts asking if I wanted to grab drinks or plan a girls' trip. When I finally confronted Lauren, she didn't sugarcoat it. "The way you treated Ethan made all of us uncomfortable," she said bluntly. "It made us wonder how you talk about us when we're not around." "That's ridiculous. I loved Ethan." "Did you? Because from what you showed me, it looked like you loved the idea of who you wanted him to become, not who he actually was." I opened my mouth to argue, but nothing came out. Because she wasn't wrong. The people I'd once bragged about online, my support system, my ride or dies, had decided I wasn't worth the drama. I was no longer the woman they wanted to associate with, just the one who tore her marriage down from the inside and didn't even realize it until the dust settled. That's when Logan showed up. I met him at a bar one Friday night. I wasn't dressed to impress. I was tired, a little buzzed, and yes, drinking alone. I hadn't told anyone yet that Ethan had officially filed for divorce. Logan looked like everything Ethan wasn't. Sharp, put together, confident, tailored suit, silver watch, the kind of haircut that came with a standing appointment and a tip in cash. He bought me a drink. I may have exaggerated my job title a little when he asked. He said he worked in finance. I didn't press for details. All I could think about was how perfect he'd look beside me in a photo. How much of an upgrade he'd seemed to everyone who'd watched Ethan quietly fade from my life. Our relationship moved fast. Too fast. Logan checked every box. 6-figure income. Luxury condo. Took me to restaurants where there were no prices on the menu. Bought me the kind of handbags I used to sneak home in dust bags and hide in the back of the closet. For the first time in years, my Instagram didn't need any filters. This was real glamour. Real success. Except it wasn't. Logan was always distracted. Always on his phone, even during dinner. He'd cancel last minute because of urgent work things. And when we were together, it felt like I was constantly trying to win his attention. He didn't listen the way Ethan used to. He didn't see me the way Ethan had. But I told myself it didn't matter. The lifestyle was worth it. The image was what I'd always wanted, right? I started overcompensating. Cooking elaborate meals. Planning weekend getaways. Trying to recreate the connection I'd had with Ethan, but with Logan's status. 3 months in, he invited me to a work gala. I thought finally, my chance to be seen with him. To prove to everyone and maybe myself that this relationship was real. I bought the dress. Got my hair professionally done. Showed up in heels I could barely walk in. I looked like the woman I always thought I was meant to be. Until Logan introduced me to people as his friend. Not his girlfriend. Not his date. Just friend. Like I was an afterthought. At the bar I confronted him. "We've been seeing each other for months," I whispered. "You're introducing me like some coworker." Logan looked confused. A little amused. "We're having fun, Isabella. Don't ruin it by putting pressure on things." "Pressure? I'm not asking for a ring, Logan. I just want basic respect." He took a slow sip of his drink. Didn't even look at me. "You're great company. Beautiful. But I told you my career's my focus. If you're looking for something serious, I'm not your guy." That was it. 3 months of fine dining, designer gifts, weekends away, and all I was to him was great company. I couldn't even be mad. Because wasn't that exactly what I'd done to Ethan? Enjoyed the parts of him that benefited me while quietly resenting that he wasn't checking enough boxes? Used his loyalty but marked every flaw in a spreadsheet? The next morning I deleted every photo of Logan and me from my phone. Stopped myself from posting some vague, moving on caption on Instagram. Who was even still watching? My friends had moved on. Ethan had moved on. And I was sitting alone in the living room we used to share, surrounded by furniture we picked out together. Furniture I used to think we'd upgrade someday. That's when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Nina. "Heard about you and Logan. Want to grab coffee? I think we're overdue for a talk." I stared at it for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore her, to keep wallowing. But another part, the part that remembered who I used to be, needed to say yes. "Tomorrow at 10, I texted back. Nina was already waiting when I arrived at the coffee shop. Same seat she always picked. Same drink. She stood up when she saw me, pulling me into a hug that felt like the first warm thing I'd felt in weeks. "You look tired," she said gently. "I feel worse," I admitted, sliding into the chair across from her. We chatted for a bit, surface-level stuff. Work. Mutual friends. Brunches I hadn't been invited to. Then she leaned forward, took a slow breath and said, "I saw Ethan last week." My stomach did that thing where it flips but doesn't land. "Where?" I asked, pretending to casually sip my latte. "Downtown. At that little cafe near the bookstore. He looked good, Isabella. Really good." I didn't say anything. "He asked about you." My eyes shot up. "What did he say?" "He wanted to know if you were okay. Said he'd heard about Logan through the grapevine." I laughed under my breath. Of course he did. Bad news travels fast. "What did you tell him?" "That I hadn't talked to you in a while. But that I planned to." Nina hesitated, then added, "He's doing well, you know. Started that business he always talked about. Seems happy." I wasn't sure what I felt. Pride? Regret? Bitterness? Maybe all three at once. "Good for him," I said. And I almost meant it. "I didn't ask you to meet me just to talk about Ethan," she said. "I asked you here because I miss you. And I'm worried about you." I looked away toward the window. People passed by outside. So effortlessly whole. So unaware of how broken I felt. "The Isabella I'm seeing on social media lately," Nina continued. "She doesn't look like the friend I've known for years." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you used to value things that mattered. People. Connection. Real love. Now, it feels like you're chasing status more than joy." I opened my mouth, ready to defend myself. To remind her how hard I'd worked. How unfair it was that everyone else got the fairy tale. But I was too tired to pretend. "I don't know what happened," I whispered. "Somewhere along the way, I got so caught up in trying to keep up with everyone else, I forgot to appreciate what I had." "It's not too late to change that," she said gently. "It is with Ethan," I said. Saying it out loud hurt more than I expected. "He's gone. And he should be. Maybe. But it's not too late for you to figure out what actually makes you happy. Not what looks good in photos. Not what makes your friends jealous. Just you." We sat there in silence for a while. It wasn't uncomfortable. Just quiet. Safe. Later that night, back in my apartment, the one I thought I always wanted, I sat on the couch alone. The same couch Ethan and I had picked out together on a rainy Saturday 3 years ago. I remembered how excited we were that day. How he made a dumb joke about it being the grown-up couch, because it didn't come from a college discount warehouse. I looked around at the room. The new stuff I'd filled it with since he left. Designer throw blankets. Art prints I bought for aesthetics. Everything looked expensive, but none of it felt like home. I thought about the reasons to leave document I had secretly started on Logan too. Yeah, that happened. I never admitted it to anyone, but it was there on my laptop, password protected. Bullet points and comparisons. Just like I had with Ethan. It hit me then. The ugly truth. It was never about Ethan. Or Logan. It was about me. The next morning, I opened the divorce papers. I hadn't signed them yet. Not because I thought we had a chance, but because signing them felt like accepting that I'd thrown away something real for a fantasy. My phone buzzed. Another notification from Instagram. Lauren and Chad in Napa Valley. Matching outfits. Sunset wine tasting. I stared at it for a long time. Then I opened the app and started hitting unfollow. Lauren. Savannah. Brooke. Every single account that made me feel like my life wasn't enough. Gone. It wasn't going to bring Ethan back. It wasn't going to rebuild the friendships I'd torched or erase the mistakes I'd made. But it was a start. A tiny, honest acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, the problem had never been them. It had been me all along. A few weeks after my talk with Nina, I found myself standing outside the old bookstore downtown. The one near the cafe where she'd said she saw Ethan. I don't even know why I was there. I didn't expect to run into him. I wasn't trying to create some cinematic reunion moment. I guess I just wanted to be near something that reminded me of who I used to be. Who we used to be. Inside the bookstore, I wandered the aisles. The air smelled like old paper and dust and comfort. I passed the travel section and saw a display for Bali. My throat tightened. I used to dream about going there with Ethan. I ran my fingers over the glossy cover of a guidebook, then put it back. I didn't buy anything. I just left. But I didn't go home. I took a walk instead. Through the neighborhood Ethan and I used to talk about moving to once we made it. The one with wide sidewalks and porch swings and people who smiled at each other just for existing. We never made it there. But walking through it now I didn't feel envy. I just felt peace. A soft kind of sadness. The kind that doesn't scream or burn. Just lingers quietly in the chest. Later that night, I sat at the dining table. The one Ethan had assembled with those ridiculous instructions spread across the floor. And I opened a blank document on my laptop. Not a spreadsheet. Not a list of upgrades or grievances. Just a page. For me. At the top I wrote, what actually makes me happy? I didn't write for Instagram. I didn't write to prove anything. I wrote honestly. For the first time in years. Slow mornings with coffee and no agenda. A listening to someone who really hears me. A clean home, not a perfect one. A laughter that doesn't come from a screen. A long walks without needing a destination. Peace, not performance. There were no mentions of Range Rovers. No luxury condos. No image-based goals. Just quiet joy. A few days later I got a message from Nina. Ethan launched his business officially. It's doing well. Looks like he's speaking at a local entrepreneur panel next month. I clicked the link she sent. There he was, Ethan Carter. Clean-cut. Confident. Standing at a podium, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. A kind of calm pride radiating from him. Not showy. Not forced. Just real. I didn't cry. I smiled. Because that man, the one on stage, he knew his worth now. And I was proud of him. Even if I wasn't beside him anymore. A week after that, I mailed in the signed divorce papers. No dramatic note. No last-minute plea. Just my name on the dotted line and a whisper to the universe. Thank you. For loving me when I didn't know how to love back. 3 months later. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. Not fancy. Not decorated like a showroom. Just warm and quiet and mine. I got promoted not because I demanded it but because I earned it. I stopped tracking what my friends made and started tracking what made me feel whole. I still post on Instagram. But now it's sunsets. My dog. A messy bookshelf. A cup of coffee with foam art I messed up myself. And once, just once, I posted a picture of a folded paper on my fridge. No explanation. No hashtags. It was titled, What Actually Makes Me Happy? That was the post Nina commented on. And a few hours later someone else liked it too. Ethan. No message. No comeback story. Just a quiet acknowledgement. And in that moment I didn't hope for a second chance. I didn't hope for anything at all. I just felt whole. Because maybe healing isn't about going back. Maybe it's about becoming someone who no longer needs to.